Well, good morning. As promised, I'm here with Norman again, and we're actually at a beautiful place.
Yeah, we are, Adrian, we are.
Oh, this is awesome. We're actually at the Baruna. If some people from One Heart Church would know this place, because we actually had some couples that I know get married here. Yeah, absolutely. So Adrian and Yudi, if you're watching this, this is where your wonderful wedding was, and some people from Australia, Patty and May, they got married here. That was awesome. But we've got you here, we've got some coffee.
Yeah, we do.
And it's perfect.
It is.
How you doing?
No, I'm doing great. It's a beautiful place, Bali. Yeah. Beautiful island. Yeah. And I've been stuck here since the 24th of March.
You could be stuck in worse places.
Yeah, absolutely. I was due to fly out on the 16th, 2 days' time. But I believe that's cancelled, so it looks like my stay's been extended.
Wow.
But the Lord's in control, and we just wait patiently upon His, see what's going to happen.
Well, we had you last Sunday afternoon in our service, which was fantastic, our Easter Sunday service. But we wanted to catch up a bit with you. Right. So I think where we might start, I know you've got a ministry called Broken Wings. We'll get to that in a minute. But let's start with you. Because I heard, well, one, it was your birthday last Sunday, which was pretty good. But I heard another little rumour that you're a marathon runner, or we're a marathon runner. Yeah. Come on, tell me about that.
Okay. All right. I only started running when I was 40, funny enough. I didn't start running before then. I was running at school, I was athletics, I was a little speed merchant. Yeah, no long distance stuff for me. 100 meters, 200 meters, and that was it. But when I got to 40, as these things happen, you get a bit older, somebody challenged me, and we had a bit of a day, and so we started running. The ultimate aim was to run what we call Comrades Marathon. Now, Comrades Marathon is the distance of 2 marathons. It is from the town of Durban at sea level up to Pietermaritzburg, which is about 750 meters above sea level.
Wow.
And it's a distance of 90 kilometers. So you run from city to city, and you run uphill. But in the uphill, there are 27 kilometers of downhill. Of course, you've got to go down to the bottom of the hill to start to get up again.
Yeah.
So I ran that 11 times, back to back. And in all of that, over a period of 11 years, I ran 127 marathons.
Oh my goodness! Yeah. I haven't even run one.
Not one. But running's been good for me. I think it's possibly sort of added to my healthy situation now. And but I've been blessed. I've run all over the world. I've run the London Marathon, which really is a marvelous marathon. It was the biggest marathon in the world at the time. I've run in the States. I've run in Canada. I've run in South America. I've run on the continent. I've even run the original marathon, which was from the town of Marathons all the way up into the Olympic Marble Stadium in the town in Athens itself. Wow! So yeah, I've run all over the world. I was chosen to run for South Africa to do the Commonwealth Games. Oh, wow. Way back, it was about 94. Around about 94. But the day that I was chosen, the day that I had to go pick up my Springbok blazer, my accountant phoned me and he said, "Listen, pal, you've got a financial difficulty heading your way. A little financial tsunami." So I cancelled the trip. So the only continent I've never got to and I've never run on has been Australia.
Oh, really?
Well, one day.
We'll have to, come on, you have to get there. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So marathon running and so just let's give people just a little bit of a background where you come from, because that obviously will feed into what you're doing now. But obviously you personally, what you came out of, sort of was part of a catalyst into what you're doing now. Yeah,
I'll give you the short version. I was born in Cape Town to a beautiful young lady, tennis champion, and she was only 5'1" inch tall, a little taller than the net. Yeah. To somebody who was a South African boxing champion. But unfortunately, not only was my dad a boxing champion, he was also what we used to call a diesel champion, a drinking champion.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, they married, they had me, and in fact, the family said to them, "Listen, Bonnie, we think you should move out of Cape Town. It's not big enough for you," because there were 17 children between the two families. And my dad was a troublemaker, drinker. So I moved to Johannesburg, and he continued to drink, and long story short, he died in a Salvation Army home for alcoholics. Oh, wow. At the age of 13, I had no real role model. My mom was working 2 jobs to pay for us. We'd already spent a number of years in an orphanage because she couldn't afford to keep us. And so I joined the gang. I was only 13, I took over the gang. And we were breaking into houses.
Wow.
And which is not something a little white boy did. Little black kids, we used to say, yeah, the black kid will do it, but not a white kid.
Yeah.
But we were breaking into houses, and what we were doing is robbing them and shoplifting. Even today, I could be an ace shoplifter. I see some things, I see what's going on, and but my favorite thing was to steal bicycles. I'd go down to an area where people would spend a Sunday in a huge park next to a dam, and I'd find a kid riding his bicycle alone, and I'd ask him if I could have a ride. I want my folks to buy me one, and give him all the nonsense. And the kid had let me ride, and I'd ride around a little bit, and very soon I'd be pedaling away from him, and I'd steal the bicycle.
Wow.
But on the 27th of May, 1958, now I'm 13. I had just been arrested that day for the third time.
Wow.
And the police had picked me up. They had taken me to what we call Sun City Prison, which is a big prison in Johannesburg. They'd left me in a cell for a couple of hours with a couple of guys. Then they took me to a police station. They took me to a reformatory school. And at the end of that, they dropped me at home. And when I got home, the gang came to me and said, "Where you been all day? You weren't at school?" I said, "No." I said, like a big man, I've been in jail, been in the cop shop, and so on. And so they said, "Hey, there's an opportunity to make some money tonight. Up the road in the Jewish hall, we think there's something happening." And what would happen is they would show a film. And in those days, there was still the big old reel-to-reel movies and so on. And we used to pay a tikkie and a sixpence, which is, of course, today nothing, to go. But what would happen, the lady would sit at the door with like a shoebox, and she'd collect your money and give you change, and so people would come, and she'd be doing this. And so what I used to do is I would go and I'd stand in her face. I'd say, "How much, lady? How much to get in?" Yeah, and she'd tell me, and in the meantime, I've already moved the box, and somebody's got the box with the money, and they're busy running. And if anybody saw and tried to stop them, I'd be the blocker as well. I'd say, "Oh, what's going on? Don't go, whoa, what's happening?" Just to give the guys another 10, 20 meters. And we'd meet up later and divvy up the cash. So that was me. But on this particular night, the lady said, "There's no charge. Go inside and have a look." So I went inside and I had a look. And here was a man standing up on a stage telling me about a man who loved me, telling me about a father who loved me. And I sat and I listened, and I was just so touched.
Wow.
Speaking about our sin that needed forgiveness, and I knew what my sin was.
Yeah.
I mean, that very day I'd been so reminded of where I could have ended up in jail and one thing and another. And if I today look at what my life could have been, I mean, I could have become a serious criminal, a serial criminal.
Yeah.
And who knows?
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows what that could have led to.
Wow.
And so by His grace, and I tell people today that I was saved by a Welsh coal miner's son in a Jewish hall. Because we were in a Jewish hall. So that's where I came to faith.
Right, wow.
And and it's been a hangover ride since then. It's been over 61 years.
Wow.
I must be honest, I haven't always been faithful to God. But
I think we can all probably attest to that along the journey.
But he's never turned his back on me. He's always been there for me. He's rescued me. And I thought I'd get to a Bible college as a youngster. But God closed that door, and I wasn't happy at the time, but God, of course, is wiser than what we are, so I accepted it.
Wow.
And I lived life.
Wow.
And just 20 years ago, one morning walking into my office, I worked for myself most of my life, walking into my office, God just spoke in such a real way. He put me on my knees. I repented of my sin. Next day, I was enrolled at Bible college at the age of 55. Wow. That's 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Tells you how old I am today. And I didn't go to college for a piece of paper. I went to the Bible college just to gain some more knowledge.
Yeah.
Because I turned my back on God for a while, as I say, I hadn't been over faithful. I just felt I needed some training. I needed some input into my life, and which is what I got at the college. And I left the college. I was ordained as a minister, and was called to a church. Mm-hmm. I was there only for a couple of years, and then God called me away from that. Just one day, I just felt God saying to me, "The church is over." Mm. And I wrestled with that. I spoke to one or two of my good pastoral friends, and just felt, no, it was over. So I resigned from the church. Mm. And as I drove away from the church, I had a telephone in my car at the time. It was like we didn't have cell phone, as such. And as I drove away, saying, "Okay, Lord, so what now?" My phone rang. And that phone call started the ministry that I'm in today, which is Broken Wings Ministries.
Yeah. And so we briefly discussed Broken Wings on Sunday night, but there's three aspects to it. So just take us through, just in the time we got here, just the three different aspects of that ministry, and just give us a bit of an insight to what you're doing. Yeah.
Well, the three different aspects of, first of all, I think because of my history with my own dad, with being an alcoholic, and having been subjected to that kind of thing for a lot of my life, when Broken Wings started, one of the first things that came about was me working with a drug rehab centre. And it wasn't very long before I started my own facility. It's a shelter called House of Compassion. Today we can take up to 30 homeless men, homeless, destitute, drug addicts, alcoholics. Mm-hmm. Not everybody is a drug addict or alcoholic. Some are just indigent. Some of the guys that we have today have been with us 6 or 7 years. Some of the drug addicts, their brains are so fried, their families don't want them back. So what do? We can't throw them out, so we keep them. There's no state facility for these guys in South Africa. Yeah. So that's part of what I do is we have the shelter for these men. And there we have, there the little motto is reconciling people to God, reuniting them with their family, returning them to society.
Okay.
That's what we're trying to accomplish. Yeah. But of course, the main aspect is reconciling people to God. Yeah. Secondly, I worked with the missionary organization, Multi Ministries, and I've done a lot of teaching and training for them in different parts, in different countries over the years. But as I was going through this, I sort of saw a need for something a bit more formal than just ad hoc training, 1 or 2 days here, 1 or 2 days there. Yeah. So I've started a school called School of Christian Leadership. Okay. It's not a Bible college, it's not a university, but it has a full-on curriculum. We might call it Theology 101. Yeah. Because it gives all the basics. God, there's a whole thing about the character of God, sort of who he is, the life and times of Jesus, the work of the Holy Spirit, how to prepare a sermon.
Just all the, I suppose, the nuts and bolts. And
teach and train the guys. And we do it over a period of 2 years, and they end up with a piece of paper. Yeah. And these are rural pastors who've never had the opportunity or the privilege of going to a university or going to a college. And I've actually just come back from the jungles of Papua. Yeah. And there, right deep in the heart of the jungle, there are 41 pastors running churches in different villages without a day's training between them. But last year, folk from our church who've been there 20 years had translated the New Testament into their language, Muscona. And now that they have the Bible, I was asked to come along and start the school. So now I can teach and train them, but from the Bible, where it would have just been words. Yeah. Now they actually have a book they can look in, and it's all there.
That's a big step forward.
No, it is absolutely. So Andy, the missionary, he runs a translation. They're now trying to they're not trying. They're going to translate the Old Testament into the Muscona language, and his wife Debbie does literacy training. Okay. So she's been training the pastors for 5 or 6 years. So now they can all read. And now they have their Bible that they can read. Man. So it has been such a blessing just to work with these guys, to see the hunger and the need.
See, there are things that we take for granted. Just being able to have any Bible accessible to us, and the fact that we can read it are just things that we just take for granted. You know, but these people, one, being able to read for a start, and then two, being able to read the word in their language. That's a big thing. So, that's awesome.
Absolutely,
Awesome.
And then thirdly is I'm an evangelist. So I love to go on outreaches, which I do a couple of times a year.
Which is why you're here, basically. Well, we're not in Bali. Bali's just sort of the place you got stuck, but you were here in Indonesia,
But I go to places like Brazil. We work with a group of churches there, and in fact, every other year I've been able to go across, and we run a full-on outreach, sort of 10 days intensive gospel preaching, house visitation, rallies, and so on.
Wow!
So that's the third part of the ministry, and. Which part do I like the most? Well, I just like sharing the word, man. Whether it's to a down-and-out drug addict, who needs salvation, or whether it's to some wealthy businessman in Brazil who's come to the service to see what this is all about, and just sharing the gospel.
And wow, and that's obviously what brought you here. You're in Papua, and you've sort of got stuck here. But even here in Bali, you've been able to connect with some churches. Obviously connected with us through some other friends. It was funny because, just to tell you the story, I had some friends ring me and they said, there's this South African pastor that's sort of got stuck here in Bali, wants to connect with some people. And I go, oh yeah, great, but we never got introduced by them. And then John, another good friend, messaged me Thursday last week, I think it was, and said, do you want to come have a coffee? And so I turned up, have a coffee, and he introduced me to Norman, said, here's Norman, he's from South Africa. And I go, are you the guy? And it was. So,
I'm the guy.
And it was great to have you on Sunday at our church, just sharing with us and having the conversation with us.
I was, originally the whole idea was leaving Papua and having worked there in the jungle in those steamy, hot conditions, etc. And it's an intensive 2 weeks that we had there. And I thought, coming over, stopping here in Bali for a day, and then I thought, extend it by 1 day. I had one full day here in Bali. Travel all over the beautiful island. I wanted to get up to the volcano and see the rice paddies and some other things that they have here, and a dip in the sea and so on. And but never thinking for one moment, that I'm going to be stuck here. But I don't mind a day or two off. But that's not me. I want to work, I want to talk, I want to teach, I want to preach. And God has certainly opened doors, and I was privileged to come and chat with you guys Sunday night. And done another church, what was it, Calvary Chapel. And and I've had other opportunities here on the island. And so if I'm stuck here for another couple of weeks, well, I'm looking to God to open a few more doors.
Come on, it'll be awesome. Well, we've appreciated having you, and I know it's been a bit of a brief chat today, but how can people connect with your ministry? What's the best way for them to connect with you and with Broken Wings? What's the best way?
Well, unfortunately, our website got shut down a while ago. Somebody who'd been paying for it all the years had stopped paying, and we didn't know. And I was told the thing had been shut down, and I tried to get the domain back, but you can't. They won't give it back to you. It was Broken Wings Ministry .co.za. But that's gone today. But the ministry is, the best thing is I could give out my email and or even my phone number. Or folk.
Well, what I might do in the description or in the comments when we place this up on Facebook or YouTube, we'll give your email address in there. I'll grab that, and then if you're actually interested, you want to get some more information, then you can email Norman and the team, and it'd be great. But I've really enjoyed having you here.
And I've enjoyed being with you.
And I think Josh was going to try and take you out on a boat. Was he going to try and do that?
I think he has my number, or he was going to ask you for it. I think he wants to take me spearfishing.
I know. If you know Josh loves the spearfishing, but that's awesome. Well, I've really enjoyed the chat this morning, and it's been so great meeting you, and I'm looking forward to having more conversations when you actually can leave and then come back again. We'll have you back.
I'd love to bring my family back here. I really would.
We'd love to meet them, so that would be awesome. So thanks for the conversation today. I'm glad you joined us today, and look forward to chatting with you another time. But have a great day. Stay safe.
God bless.